guys, welcome back to Gifted Afflicted, where I truly believe that by surviving and battling some of our absolute greatest afflictions, we end up uncovering or birthing our greatest gifts. So in my case, it was basically being a drug addict, alcoholic, criminal, to now being a wife, mother, and small business owner in recovery. My name is Jackie. If you're new, welcome to today's video. So today I am doing a Noom update. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Nico's doing virtual learning in the other room. I started the Noom app when I was 215 pounds. I've been on it just about 7.5 weeks. I'm going to be doing updates every so often. I don't know, like maybe every 7 weeks, every 2 months, whatever it is. I'm going to be on the app 7 months. I am not paid to be on the app. I'm not sponsored. I'm not trying to sell you the app. I'm just trying to share with you what I'm doing and if it helps me or not. Just so if you're curious about the Noom app, or if you struggle with losing weight or depression, or I don't know, like in my case, just a whole myriad of issues. I'm also recovering from bulimia, so I struggle with weight loss. I think more so maybe than your average person, because I used drugs as a form of controlling my weight for so long that when I got off the drugs, I really struggled with weight because I didn't want to put weight on. And then I finally accepted, like when I got pregnant, yes, I know I need to put weight on. This is the healthy thing to do. I'm not going to starve my baby. And then I just went above and beyond and packed on a whole shit ton of weight, basically. So starting the app, I was at 215 pounds. Let me grab my notes. Okay, so the stats are, I started the app August 9th. I weighed in at 215 pounds, and I've been on the app about 7.5 weeks. It's September 29th now. I'll put a little video in. I weighed in at 209 pounds. I actually got down to 208, but now I'm back up to 209. And today I weighed myself and I was 210. Now, there's a whole lot of things I love about the app. And one of the biggest things is it doesn't focus just on the number on the scale. And that's actually one of the reasons I got the scale that I stepped on there, is because it measures more than just the number. Like, it measures my muscle mass, it measures my water weight, it measures my body fat percentage. And yeah, it's just kind of a guesstimate. It can't be 100% accurate, but it kind of gives me other things to measure other than like just the number. And then within the app, I'm learning other things that I can measure, and I'll get into that. So basically, I'm just going to discuss briefly how I'm doing with the app, my thoughts on the app, and I'm just going to share some of my favorite things that I've learned on the app so far. A common misconception with losing fat or losing weight is that it's like this, steady decline. And just like getting sober, a common misconception when you get sober is, oh, you're in treatment, you're in rehab, now you're going to do whatever program you choose to do, and you're going to, this is what's going to happen. You're going to stay on this steady decline from all of the horrible, toxic habits you have, to just slowly graduating back into being more mainstream, whatever. So, and don't let anybody convince you that you need to be normal or mainstream just because you get sober. That's a whole nother video for a different day, but that is something that many people tried to convince me of when I got sober. Don't do this, don't be that, that's not right, that's not what we do here, you're in the wrong meeting, blah, blah, blah. Be unique to yourself. Don't let anybody strip you of what makes you unique. Just because you get sober doesn't mean you need to be sitting in the same box as everybody else. You know what I'm saying? So there's that. Getting sober is more like this for me. It just was. So, and then you have your high highs and your low lows. And with weight loss, it's more like, they're showing me in the app, it's more like this. So it's not as dramatic as getting sober. And in a way, I find that empowering, because it's like, if I can just stick with what I'm supposed to be doing, focus on learning these new skills, really hone in on my nutrition. I feel like, okay, I can take that. Like I can take little ups and downs, and just as long as I'm slowly progressing and slowly going down. So another powerful thing I learned about the app is like, I couldn't find the exact graph to show you, but I was always under the misconception that losing weight, like it's half exercise and it's half nutrition. And the app has taught me that it's actually like less than 10% of exercise, and it's like the whole rest made up of other things. The whole rest isn't nutrition either. It's like your sleeping habits, your stress levels, your nutrition, what you're eating. Like there's all these other factors that play into it. And I'm finding it so helpful to learn about these things, because I feel like that was always a frustrating point for me. Like I was basically working out, focusing way too much of my time and energy on working out. Not that working out is a bad thing to focus my time or energy on whatsoever, but like during the pandemic and having all these increased responsibilities at home and being home more and having all this stuff kind of piled on top, like with the pandemic that we all are still dealing with and struggling with, it became a lot. And then to have like intense workouts piled on top of that, it was like something had to give. And I almost found it refreshing to learn like, okay, so that's actually less than 10% of what I need to really work on. So this is great, because if I feel like I don't have it in me to even do like a 30-minute intense workout, that's okay. I can focus on something else. I can go walk Bella, or I can do yoga like if I want, or something a little less intense, or I can just focus more on my nutrition that day. Like I'm finding it almost relieving that I don't have to be putting as much time into the intensity of my workouts that I was before. So I'm finding that relieving. And don't get me wrong, I love to work out. I'm still going to work out. I'm still going to lift weights. I really love doing that. But I'm not stressing out if I can't do it as often or as intense, because I'm not going to the gym as much. Moving on to the next thing. I learned something called temptation bundling, which means bundle something I don't like with something I do like. And a lot of these tips, I'm noticing kind of a pattern is a lot of them can be taken to things that aren't necessarily even related to weight loss. Like I'm using this one in my business currently right now, and I didn't even know it was a thing. So temptation bundling, taking something I don't like sharing my Poshmark closet, and combining it with something I do like, which is listening to a favorite podcast. So in the form of working out, it could be like in the beginning when I really didn't enjoy working out, or if I'm just not in the mood to work out, how about I actually don't want to do it, or I don't feel like doing it. Put on some music that I really enjoy, or even put on a show I really enjoy, or put on a fitness YouTuber that I really enjoy, and so that it feels more enjoyable to do so. Okay, so the next one is just making a dedicated effort to put more of an importance on sleep. So whether it's, in my case, I'm focusing right now on going to bed 30 minutes earlier, and I'm also wearing these at night because in an ideal world, you wouldn't want to be in front of a screen while you are right before you're getting ready to go to bed. So like, it's not, I knew about the blue light debate, and I know I'm not really here to debate the issue. I'm just here to share what I've learned, and that is that the lights on our screens do affect our ability to go into a deeper quality sleep. So it is advised before you go to bed to not be on your electronics right before you go to bed, or if you're like me and you work online and you have a hard time getting off your electronics. So I typically will share my closet really late at night, and I'll also, check my messages. And then as I'm going to unwind, I'll watch YouTube videos. Like I love fashion YouTubers. I love upcycle YouTubers. I love some reseller YouTubers. I like to watch YouTube videos where I'm like, it's just how I chill out. Like, it's just how I relax. I like to watch YouTube videos right before I go to bed. And so I put these on, and then like when I didn't fully believe it, and I was like, I'll just try it. And once I started wearing these at night, I was able to go to bed so much easier than like when I wasn't wearing these. And it was like, I just was so wired up, and I had no idea. Highly recommend I highly recommend blue light blocking glasses. I just got these on Amazon. I'm sure there's more stylish options, but I kind of like how dorky they look because I just think that's funny. So anyway, next. All right, so the next one is, I was shocked to find out the average adult spends around 10 hours and 39 minutes on a screen, whether it's a laptop, a TV, your phone, your tablet. 10 hours and 39 minutes on a screen. That's crazy to me. And I do believe it because there's so many times where I'm out and it's almost like weird to see you're out, but everybody's like, how many times have you been in a room at a gathering and everybody's kind of on their phones? And it's like, people really are on their phones a lot. So I'm learning that I was doing this rudely enough to my son, who's 7. We were eating lunch every day. I was putting on YouTube videos to watch during my lunch break, and I didn't even really think about it. I just did it. And it's like, that was kind of rude because he isn't really interested in what I'm watching on YouTube. So here I am just eating and watching. And there was 2 things that weren't good about this. One, I was missing out on sitting and enjoying his company during the meal, having bonding time with him. The other thing is when you watch TV, and I knew this of TV, but for whatever reason, I didn't relate it to my tablet. When you're watching something while you eat, you're more likely to miss your hunger cues, or satiety cues, I think is what they're called. Basically, the cues that are telling you, I'm full, I've had enough. You're kind of distracted and you're just kind of eating mindlessly. And I was like, at first I'm like, it's not really that big of a deal because I have a set amount of food I eat. Like, I go ahead and prepare all the food and I portion out and I eat it. But then I was like, maybe I am overeating even on my portions and I don't need that full amount. And it was true. When I started the app, I was eating 2,500 calories a day. And now I'm down to about 1,600 and I don't feel significantly more hungry. I'm just eating more calorie dense foods. And that's also, like I showed you last time, here, I'll pop it in again. It's the food analysis. So it's just teaching me that, unlike before, like early when I first became bulimic pretty much and started using drugs to control my weight, I thought some foods were bad and some foods were good. And it's just like learning to see food as food. Like, some foods are more calorie dense. Some foods are less calorie dense. Some foods are more healthy than other foods. But it's not to say like a donut is bad. Like, no, food is food. Yes, a donut isn't going to keep me full like a bowl of oats with fresh fruit. But I should be able to enjoy the donut as a reward, in moderation, instead of like eating the donut and like talking shit to myself, being like, why are you fucking eating this? Like, you don't deserve this. This is just gonna stick on you. Just that black or white thinking needs to change. And so you can see, like on the day here that I had a donut and I added it in, see how my reds just jumped off the charts. And it was like showing me, if you're going to eat that donut, you better not eat it very often because look how much it's jumping you off the chart. And then my whole day is basically like, I'm not going to lose any weight that day. Like, that's fine if I want to do it once a week as a reward, but there's other things that I can reward myself with that aren't going to set me back that far. So it's just opening my eyes to just how many things are in each food and how much I really need of each food. And see, now let's put in a good day where I'm eating on track, I'm doing all of my prep meals, and it just feels really empowering to see like my numbers are right where they should be, but also knowing like myself and that I need something to look forward to. So I tend to give myself a reward at the end of the week. If it's like a few weeks ago, it was like my birthday dinner and my birthday cake, and that's great. And then a few weeks ago, it was a donut, but the weeks in between, I made sure to reward myself with something that wasn't food related to kind of offset those. So I'm learning that, and I'm actually really enjoying the process of teaching myself how to reward myself with things that aren't dessert or food centered. Okay, now touching back on what I said in the very beginning, which is I'm finding new ways to measure my progress. So they're no longer all going to be vanity based. So it's not all about the number on the scale, which I absolutely love. So if I want to do vanity metrics, that's fine. I can measure with tape measure on my body parts, and I can do the actual number on the scale. I can do how my clothes fit. But more importantly, I can measure things that aren't just vanity metrics. So I can measure, how do I feel? How do my energy levels feel? How does my stress level feel? How depressed am I feeling this week? How strong am I feeling in my workouts? Are my workouts becoming easier? Am I able to do exercises with more ease than I did in the beginning? Like, I'm noticing for myself, I have always struggled with push-ups, and I have also always wanted to be able to do an unassisted pull-up. I can do push-ups with more ease than I used to. I don't have to do push-ups on my knees anymore. I've gotten strong enough to, yes, when I become fatigued, yes, absolutely, go on my knees and finish it out. But I can do regular push-ups now. I can even do incline push-ups. Finding these other ways to measure, especially for me, having had so many injuries, I can't necessarily measure with like the amount of weight I'm lifting, but maybe get a little creative in these other ways to measure. Like, a goal for mine is to be able to do unassisted pull-ups one day, because, just things like that. So there's just all these other ways. It can be so individualized to the person. And that's another thing that I really wish, when I was in treatment for substance abuse, I really wish the program was more individualized. And that is something that I am absolutely loving about Noom. I was just discussing with my coach this week that stepping on the scale is kind of triggering that like little bulimic side of me. It's like, stepping on the scale kind of triggers me to want to be like, okay, now we're going to work out 5 days a week, 1 hour a day. And I'm just going to have either no lunch or a smoothie for lunch until I can get my weight back down. And that's very extreme. And thank God the app has taught me that those are actually the exact opposite things that I want to do. They're not going to help me. That's actually going to hinder me far more than it's going to help me. But that I can talk with my coach about this, and she can be like, okay, let's take a step back from weighing yourself this week and let's focus on something else. If that's what you want, I think it might be beneficial to focus on something else. And it's like a back and forth conversation, and it's nice to have somebody there that I can reach out to when I'm feeling like, okay, this is kind of triggering like that bulimic side of me. So I just wanted to mention that. Okay, so the next thing I learned is that decision fatigue is a real thing. And I've heard other entrepreneurs talk about this, but I always kind of thought it was one of those like things that wasn't necessarily I always just thought it was kind of like one of those things that like self-help guru types talk about. And I didn't really think it was a real thing. So it has taught me that decision fatigue is basically like we have a certain amount of willpower and self-control. And as the day goes on, our self-control and our willpower start to decrease. And that explains like why at the end of the day, I become like a starved, ravishing animal, and I'm more likely to grab whatever and just gorge on it, because it's like my self-control has been used up for the day. My willpower has been used up for the day. And what I'm finding is if you're somebody that multitasks a lot versus doing a single focused task at a time, you use up your self-control and your willpower a whole lot faster. And while the app is kind of leaning towards like, don't multitask because it's going to use all that up. As a parent, I have to be realistic. And as a parent, I multitask. I don't, if I'm recording this video and my son's like, hey, can you get me lunch? Like, I'm going to, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like you're constantly being interrupted as a parent, and you constantly have to kind of multitask as a parent. That's just how it is. So how I'm combating that decision fatigue is, for one, I do a capsule wardrobe, which I didn't really know was helping that much with decision fatigue, but it helps so much with one less thing to think about in the morning. I'm doing it by prepping my meals a whole week in advance. So we go grocery shopping on Sunday. I have all of my dinners planned for the week. I eat the same thing for lunch, the same thing for breakfast every day because I like it and that's what works for me. My dinners are what's different every day. Most people don't have to go to those extremes, but I just like it for the simplicity of it. And so there's all these different ways you can kind of set set yourself up so that you have to make less decisions overall, and your willpower can last you a little bit longer and you can make it through the day with more success. And so that's just that's just like me touching very quickly on decision fatigue, but that's a very interesting thing to look into. And that's again one thing that can play more into more areas of your life than just weight loss. Sorry if it seems like I'm talking really fast. Apparently sitting on the floor was a bad move, and I just kind of want to get this done because my leg keeps falling asleep and Nico's almost off his lunch break, so that's why I'm talking really fast. So yeah. This was an interesting fact. On average, we spend 47% of our time either projecting the future or stuck in the past, obviously not physically, in our minds, mentally. And I think that's definitely very true of me. I find myself thinking a lot in both directions, sometimes haunted by the past and other times just kind of like looking forward or projecting what the future is going to hold. And in a way, I'm excited about the future, but it's teaching me that when we do this naturally increases our stress levels, and managing my stress is something that's very crucial if I want to lose weight. So it's teaching me that the app is teaching me how to make a conscious effort to be a little bit more mindful and be in the moment. And I feel like overall, I thought maybe I was a little bit better at this than I was, because when it said, you spend that much amount of time in your head, either in the past or in the future, I feel like that's very true of me, because I've always been kind of like a daydreamer, if you will, and my thoughts kind of can carry me away really easily. So I'm still learning how to be more mindful, but that was just a point I wanted to bring up. Okay, let's end with one of my favorite ones, which is basically teaching me that I don't necessarily need to do high amounts of cardio, which I pretty much was already on this boat. I don't enjoy cardio. I feel like there's plenty of cardio just sprinkled into my everyday life that I don't really need to add it in. I love to lift weights. I hate cardio. Always hated cardio. I used to make myself run, and that might be one of the reasons I have arthritis in my knee now. But basically what I learned is moderate aerobic activity, like a quick walk or a jog or a leisurely swim. Moderate aerobic activity actually leads to increased levels of hunger, which increases something called, I'll put the word here because I don't know how to say it, ghrelin, maybe? Ghrelin. It increases something called ghrelin, and it decreases something called leptin. I have notes because, I don't really know. So basically this causes us to become hungry. Okay? Now, I always do that when I got back from doing cardio, like even just running a few miles, I would just be starving, and I felt like I was just eating back everything that I just ran off. So I always kind of found cardio. Can I sit like this? Can you see me? My foot. My foot's asleep. So I always found cardio to be kind of frustrating in that way. And that was one of the things that I really latched onto when I found weightlifting. It was like, okay, so let's lead into the next point. intense burst of energy or exercise, like a quick sprint or maybe like a really intense circuit training with weightlifting, or it could be a variety of things, whatever type of workout you enjoy. Like even dancing can become really intense. So high intense activity has the opposite effect. So it decreases your ghrelin and it increases your leptin. Therefore, it suppresses your hunger immediately and for up to 48 hours. For me, it's not near 48 hours, but it definitely suppresses my hunger immediately. Like when I'm doing an intense circuit training, I'm not hungry at all when I'm working out. When I get done working out, I usually drink a protein shake for like my recovery, but then it usually takes me a little bit of time to get hungry again. Sometimes it doesn't take as long as other times. It just depends how intense the workout was, right? Okay, so there you have it. That's my Noom update as of right now. I highly recommend the app if you struggle with things like nutrition, depression, weight loss, just wanting to be more educated on the myths in the fitness industry. I think it's a really powerful tool like for that, or if you're a very visual learner like myself. I'm enjoying it so far. But we'll see. I'm going to do updates whether I regress or progress, whether even if I slip up and I go backwards, I'll still do an update every few months, probably every 2 months. And then in the meantime, I'll just do my regular videos. So if you watched this long, thanks so much for hanging out with me. And I will see you guys next week. Peace.